Hey teachers, instructional guide for primary 4, term 2, week 1. This week 3 booklets. We're going to start with properties of squares and rectangles. So let's get on with the lesson. I think two main things to explain to them. The so-called markers would be the arrowhead, right, and the hatch marks. And what arrowheads means is that they, if you see an arrowhead on one line and another arrowhead of the same orientation on another line, it means that they're parallel. All right. Notice that there are another set of arrowheads here, but this is double, right? So what it means is that the double arrowheads and the double arrowheads, they are parallel, but they are not parallel to the single arrowheads. Okay. And the other one is called hatch marks. So hatch marks, whenever they see that if it's a single hatch mark, what that means is that the length is the same. So BC is the same as DC, is the same length as DA and AB. And it works the same for rectangles as well, right? So just get them to take note of that. Quite easy. And then I would say get them to do, in fact, this is too easy. We'll just skip to questions C and D for guided practice. Okay, just make sure that they know what is QR based on TS, right? Because of the hatch marks. And I think they are fine. And then go through one question with them, B and D as well, perhaps, right? Determine the properties and the shape of each figure, right? So 4 sides, yes. Okay, 2 parallel lines, 2 pairs of parallel lines, sorry. So yes, all of its angles are right angles, and so on, right? So make sure that it's fairly simple, right? So I think they should be able to do this. Now, this is a very tricky one, right? The figure is a square. Most would say it's yes. And then the figure is a rectangle. Most would say it's no, right? But actually, by definition, a rectangle, right, is a quadrilateral with 4, equal sides. Sorry, with 4, or whether with 4 sides, right, of the same length that is 90 degrees, and so on. So, if they put that, if they indicate that this is a rectangle, it is correct, right? Because rectangle has 4 sides, right? And the opposite sides are equal. Okay, so one thing to note is all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Okay, so they have to take note of that. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, right? Because for rectangles, for squares, the opposite side or the length of each side is the same, right? A rectangle is not. Okay, then we move on to rotating squares and rectangle. I will just skip to the guided practice. Okay, so you can work this one with them. Original figure A, B, C, D. And you might want to get a piece of paper to help you, whether it's an A4 size paper, right? Or whether it's a post-it pad. Doesn't matter. So you can write A here, B here, right? And then D, C, and then D, right? And then use this, right, to show them, right? If let's say you are to rotate, right, in 90 degrees clockwise. If I were to turn 90 degrees clockwise, C will be considered a center sector, so I'll turn 90 degrees. So would it look like this, right? The answer is actually C. But if I want to try it out, right, what if 90 degrees, if original, what about if it is 90 degrees, oops. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, if it is 90 degrees clockwise, right, what about these two answers here? Right, they'll notice that it's different, right? So when you turn this 90 degrees, D and A, and then B and C. All right, so use this to help them complete this question as well, right? Again, get them to use the paper if they need help with this. And after that, we can skip some questions and go to question, page 11, question H. Okay, now here, it is quite obvious for ST is 4 cm. No, actually not so obvious yet. Sorry, I sort of missed the part here. So what they need to know, right, is look at these hatch marks here. Now the hatch marks represents that all those are hatch marks the same, right? So what that means is that this is 2 cm and this is 2 cm as well. Okay. Now since these two parts are 2 cm, you add together equals 4 cm. So therefore, ST equals 4 cm. Okay, all right. YZ is quite obvious, right? YZ is 2 cm because of the hatch mark as well. So remember, hatch mark means that they're the same length. And then what is VW? Same thing. Okay. I would say maybe do another question right? This can be a bit complex. One question to do will be, this KHJKL, question L. So same thing, right? KL, what is KL? Look for the hash marks. KL is 1. What about LM, right? What about LM? LM would be 4 cm. What about MM, right? NM would be this side plus this side plus this side was 5 cm. Okay, and let me see. I think yeah, one more question here. For those of them who are a bit lost, you can get them to complete the rectangles because of the pattern, right? So they can complete it this way. And once they complete this way, right, it is actually easier. Sorry, it's actually easier for them to see, right? Which is the correct answer. Okay, right, to form the same shape as the other. And then lastly, go all the way to the end, right? Do all these 3 questions here. All right. Okay, then we move on to book number 2. Okay, for book number 2, it is angles in a square and rectangle, right? So the main principle here is understanding that squares, right? The corner of squares and rectangles, they form 90 degrees, right? All these are 90 degrees perpendicular. So if let's say they are supposed to find EAD, and they've got EAB, right? EAD will be 90 minus 30, right? 90 minus 30. Okay. Same thing with rectangle as well. So let's go straight to the point and get them to do all the questions under guided practice, which is only 2, right? So the concept is basically 90 degrees right angle minus 1 part of the angle. That will give you the other part. And then let's do question 2 on page 3. The idea is get to know that all the angles, right, added together in a quadrilateral will give you, or angle of shapes with 4 sides will give you 360, right? So they have to add them together and you'll find that there's 360 degrees. Okay. Skip and move on to page 8. All right. So I get them to do on their own. For J, question them, right? What's the solution? Now that you've got 2 given angles and 1 missing angle. So Mo should be able to tell you, right, that it'd be 90 degrees minus 40 degrees minus 25 degrees. Okay. What else? Let's see. Okay, then we move on to do page 14. All right, question 4. Okay, they're supposed to find TRU, right? So what is TRU? So TRU is easy, 90 minus 27 minus 22, which they've done earlier. But what about URS? So in order to find URS, they need to add TRU to TRS. Okay, so go through this question with them. And see, and one more bit of a more complex question here. All right, take them through this. Okay, really the idea is about, so if they're supposed to find angle ECN, all right, tell them that you need to find this one and you need to find this angle as well. Right, and after that, you take 90 degrees minus this, you get that. All right, so let me see any more questions here. And I think that's it, right? And we move on to the last booklet. So this week's lesson is still quite easy, right? Until we get to area, then it may pose some challenge. The last question would be this one. Last booklet will be this one, where they are supposed to draw squares. All right, so just do one with them. All right, so they can use a grid to help them, right, to draw a square, protractor, and a grid. Protractor to get the 90 degrees. After that, as long as it touches the corresponding line there, right? Get the line must be correct as well. So what they can do, right, is they can actually measure for squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it cuts across 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see that? All right, so not necessarily protractor. I think you can use this method. Okay. Okay, this one may be a bit challenging for them. They are supposed to draw rectangles. Okay, but of different orientation, right? Different direction and different sizes as well, right? So get them practice doing that. And then question 6. All right, back to the question: who is correct? Supposed to draw a rectangle, right? Is Ella a rectangle? Remember the question that we did earlier. So Ella is a rectangle as well, because rectangle has 4 right angles and its opposite sides are equal in length. Okay, so that fits the criteria of a rectangle, even though the common definition that we give is square. Okay, if there's time, try this game with them, right? You can do a few questions here. By moving some sticks, 3 craft sticks here, they are supposed to form, they're supposed to produce 3 squares. All right, make 3 craft sticks to make 3 squares. All right, so that's the solution here. If there's time, just get them to do a few more some questions. I'm not going to give this to them as homework. Maybe one of the not this question. So you can spend some time to do this with them in class. And that's it for this week's lesson.